Hi, I'm Scott Campbell with Solve 3D.
And I'm Kevin Miller at Solve 3D.
Kevin, we can really spruce up a project by adding a bunch of other data to it. Why don't you take us through a little bit about what we call the layers and then how to add each of the data types?
For sure. So what we're looking at here is an Encompass project, a mobile mapping project again. And you can see I have some point cloud and some imagery, but there's lots of other supporting data that we can add to a project. So to access the layers information, you go to the layers link on the left-hand navigation. And you see here, I have the point cloud that I can toggle on and off. I also have the base maps, but if we want to add some additional layers to this, we go to the Manage Layers button at the bottom. So once you do that, it opens a new window over top of your project, and you can see a number of tabs at the top, which we'll cover, but we'll start with the Import tab. So if we click Add New at the bottom here, you can see that we have a number of choices to add. So there's file sources, web sources, and some Esri sources. So today we'll talk about the file sources and the Esri sources, and I'll just touch on the web sources when we get to there. So starting with file sources, you can see here there's a list of different files types that we support within Encompass. Shapefile, some 3D models, GLTF, IFC, some line work like KML and Autodesk formats. So some of these can be in a single zip or the file itself, like things like shapefiles have to be in a zip file as explained here. So I'll just show you an example of loading an IFC file. So we go browse, I select my IFC file that I want to upload, click OK, and then I just hit submit. And it takes a couple seconds to upload from your computer. And once it's there, you'll see it in this list. If you made a mistake for some reason, you can always click on it and hit delete if you need to remove it and re-add it. Otherwise, you just click on it. Once it's uploaded here, it's not actually in your project yet. It's just uploaded to the system. So now we got to import it to the project and give it a nice friendly name for the user. So you just click import into project. And then you got a few choices here. We'll give it a name here, proposed building. And you select the projection that you would like it to appear under, and you just click import. These other settings, actually before you click import, these other settings are height interpolations more for if you need to map things to the ground level in your project. For the most part, that's turned off in most projects. You can see our user guide on how to use that if you need to get more information. And additionally, you can also choose whether you want to just keep this private or share with any public users of your project data. So that's what this toggle is for. And you just click import. Depending on the type of file you're loading, shapefiles and stuff can take a little bit to process. Files like IFC models and other things usually import instantly. If you want to just see what you imported there, you can always go to layer collections and see the proposed building. You can click on it and see any of the layers. In this case, it's the IFC model, so it's just one big layer. But if you had shape files or a DXF, you might see multiple layers here. So you could choose to rename an individual layer or delete that layer if you want entirely. So it's imported now, so we can just hit the X button. And you can see here it's under my file sources, so I can just toggle it on and we can see what it looks like. Some files might load instantly. Some files, again, might take a couple minutes to load, but you can see my IFC model of this proposed building. So just like before, I can enter 3D mode and navigate around and look at it in more detail if I'd like. So that is the file source. So all the file sources are pretty much the same process for uploading and importing into your project. If you want to load some other sources, like a web source, similar process, click Add New. You click Web Sources, and we support a number of web sources, some being from the Esri side, so ArcGIS map servers, feature servers, image servers, and ArcGIS online maps. And these can be from ArcGIS Online or your ArcGIS Enterprise server. So there's quite a bit of flexibility in Esri there. And then we also support the OGC standards of the WMS, the WMTS, and WFS layers, as well as tile layers from, say, Google Map tiles or a Slippy tile format, as they're sometimes called. So these ones, I won't actually do one here, but these ones are similar. You just click the thing and type in the URL that you want to import. And then it's a very similar process. Once you import it, you click on it and import it into your project, give it a friendly name. Lastly is the Esri login. You can either click on this tab and it'll ask you to log in if you haven't logged in already into your Esri account, and it'll pull your layers. Or sometimes you can access this from, if you exit out of here, under layers at the bottom, there's a direct link to add Esri layers. So you can click that and you'll get to that same place. It'll ask you to log in. In this case, since I've logged in with my demo account, my Esri account, it pulled all of the public maps that I have accessible to me within Esri. So you can see some of these, well, some of these are public, some of these that have a lock on them, meaning they're shared just with me or just with a subset of people within the Esri world. So those were, if you did select one of these, you got to make sure that anybody who wants to access them within Encompass has access to that project within your Esri environment. So in this case, to add these, you just click the map and it will pop up right away. And you can see it's immediately added it as a web source. So I can just toggle that on. And in this case, I know this is an aerial map layer, so it's being pulled in. If it was a 3D map layer, it had elevation values right in your Esri account, you'd also see it in your scene view as well. So that's kind of handy. It's a quick way to load all those in. So the other type of source is, I'll go back into Manage Layers, back to the Import tab, is the image overlay source. So image overlays is it's kind of a map, or kind of a web source. However, it's for basically a non-geolocated image. So maybe you have a picture, an old picture of your city, or a PDF file, a picture of of some line work or some models of something like that, and you want to just load it in on your aerial map. You come to this image overlays, you click Add Image Overlay, and you get your map of your area. So I'm going to upload a file here of a very old picture of Calgary here, and by default it kind of just pops in here in a center location. I like resetting it to get to the right size, but essentially if you hold your shift key, you can start resizing these as much as you want, but if you hold your shift key down and drag the corner, it'll resize in a uniform way. And I'm just going to change to a different base map so I can see a little bit here. And the idea being here is you want to start dragging this to overlay over top of your image. Got to back up a little bit more. And I mean, this can take a bit of time, but so take your time and do it a little better than I'm doing here. But the idea is that you get it overlaid exactly how you want it, and you hit confirm once you're happy. And again, you give it a name. So I'll just call this Calgary old picture. Click OK. And there it imports into our project. And then I can just close this thing, and you can see here it is on the left-hand side. So I'm just going to turn off my base map, turn all of these off temporarily here, and turn on this Calgary old picture. So here we go. So now we can see what our project data looks like in 1949, whenever this Calgary picture is taken.
That's pretty amazing. Okay, Kevin, that's a great overview on layers, how to use them, what data types to add, and how to add them. Thanks very much.
No problem.